Hey everyone, it's Docfire. Welcome to Docfire's Down and Dirty Reviews. If you're looking for unbiased reviews on autococker parts and markers, well, you've come to the right place. Because I have to buy this stuff out of my own pocket. Anyway, enjoy the show. And if you have a good time here, do me a favor, hit that like and subscribe button. Have a good one. All right, a real quick intro here on the test setup. Most of you have already seen this, so I don't go a lot through it. Added a second monitor so I can look at my scope. And then I'm gathering each run utilizing OBS software, essentially streaming software. I changed from a tank setup to off a large scuba bottle setup. So right now I have it going. I can check the pressure here, which is 3,000 psi. Going into CP reg, into CP on off, so I can bleed, which is kind of nice. Obviously the transducer, so same length of hose, hasn't changed. Also added force-fed hopper because the other one didn't really work so well. Paintballs, these are about 40 grains in weight, or 2.6, 2.7 grams. Just a little bit lighter than the paintball. Additionally, I'm shooting through the Pro Chrono DLX, which is Bluetooth, which goes to the computer, and I can gather the data, so I don't have to write everything down. That shoots over to my ball catch, and there. So real quick, the reason I went for this tank setup is I didn't feel like always checking the pressure on the tank, right? And there's a reason why I'm using the CP. It's not that any of these other regulators are bad. It's just that I noticed that the refresh rate on some of these, and I have to do some more testing, so don't take this for gospel. The Powerlight reg, the Ninja reg, and then the Empire. This is brand new. I bought it yesterday. Empire with their Chinese reg. It's a knockoff of I think of a something, whatever. I tested all of them. They all work. They all cycle within the PSI that's more than needed for the input regulator. So I just wanted, this one tends to cycle a little bit faster, a little bit more consistent in that. Not saying any of these are bad, just saying that that's what I'm having. So anyway, that's the setup, and let's get on to the first test. All right, let's get going here. We're going to talk a little bit about cycle time and balls per second. And so in balls per second, do a little simple math here. So every 1 second equals 1,000 milliseconds. And in my testing, I'm going to use the thought process of 12 balls a second as max, although I know you can go greater than that, but that's kind of just a general average out there. So if we divide 1,000 by 12, we get 83.3 milliseconds. So if you're shooting 12 balls a second, your marker has approximately 83 milliseconds between each shot to reset for the next shot. Here I'm going to show quickly in a time graph. You see here, it all starts with the trigger input. The valve will open and stay open. That's the dwell time, how long it stays open, and then it closes. The marker will refresh itself, or the reg will refresh itself. There's time based to that. And then there's any mechanical reset or pneumatic reset of the marker for the next shot. And that all has to happen within that 12 or 83 milliseconds to maintain the 12 balls per second. All right, let's get on to the test. All right, so this is the reg run for the CP version 3 reg. You guys can pause this at any time, and on the bottom right shows the feet per second of that. The top red trace line is the tank reg output, and then the blue line is the inline regulator, which is one we're kind of really monitoring here, but you guys can look at the numbers when you get there. Here's the kind of numbers broken down on each shot. We have the rise time in milliseconds, the RMS PSI, the max PSI, minimum PSI, and feet per second. The average rise time was 24 milliseconds. The average RMS PSI was 190. Maximum PSI was 198, and minimum PSI was 135. And this is only the numbers for the inline reg. And then obviously the feet per second was 291.8. And then our standard deviation, we'll look at the green line. We'll look at the last one, feet per second. We were just over 1 foot per second per shot. And this was all done at 62 degrees and barometric pressure of 14.7 psi. And then the BB weight in grains is what my chronograph measures in, is 40 grains or 2.6 grams. And a standard paintball is about 3.1 grams. And so these are significantly lighter. Or not significantly, they're a little bit lighter. And I think that's why everything's kind of running at a lower pressure. I'm going to look at maybe increasing the feet per second and to get more in that 250 psi, 300 psi range from there. But anyway, the sensors that were used, the Omega was the sensor used for the CP reg, the inline reg, and then the Testcom transducer, which both have a 0.25% accuracy, was used for the tank regulator. And, we'll go from there. I'm going to talk a little bit about the Have Blue or the, Air Soldier stuff. And here's his photo. I'm not taking any, this is from Have Blue. And he used a little different setup, but you can see in there in the bottom in the photo, he has a mufflered intimidator. I set this set to 300 psi, so a little different. But I'm finding the same results. Another thing is when I talk about the 90 to 10%, here's a little explanation. Pause it. You can read it yourself. And you can figure out what I'm talking about when I talk about that rise time from 90 to 10%. It will explain it in that last thing. But anyway, when you kind of look at this CP regulator response rate is about 24 milliseconds. This is the average. And remember, we have that, 86.3 milliseconds or right around that for the full cycle time for shooting 12 balls a second. So outside of any other stuff, this regulator will work fine. Now, it is a brand new regulator, but it has probably over 1,000 cycles through it. It hasn't been rebuilt or anything like that since new. It's got the factory grease in it, whatever they use. And I think it's fine. There's no reason why I went with the CP first. There's no one asked me to do anything. I just grabbed it out of the pile, and it was the first one that went through the system. Now, one thing I do want to note that if there's any errors in this, or if you guys post comments below or suggestions or anything like that, I'll be, if I find out that, hey, I made a mistake here, I'll pull this video down and I'll post a new one, do some other testing. And obviously I want to do some different testings on kind of like some rapid fire. And I got to set my oscilloscope up to be able to catch that. And, what type of marker do I do it with? That's some other stuff, but that's some other testing that's going to have to go on. But I kind of want to do this just general look at this, kind of slow fire. How's this thing respond if there's creep and stuff like that, which you really see kind of when you're under a slower fire. And we'll give it kind of a general idea of the reg. And then obviously there are some differences with the two general style regs. You have a poppet style, which is like a Palmer's reg, and a Bob Long and stuff like that, and some of the AK, the 2 liters of poppet style. When paired with different tank regs, I've noticed some differences, and hopefully I'll be able to show that after I kind of just do the initial reg stuff here. But and I'll hopefully be able to help you figure out what's maybe a better PSI to look at for input, so you're not starving anything. But anyway, guys, that's it. Please like and subscribe, and thanks for watching. Have a good one. Doc Fire out.